For the first time, I'm saying 2022 today. So, wish you all a very happy new year. And as a Desicrew family, this is going to be the 15th year that we've all been together as an organization. So, there are a lot of exciting things that will happen this year. So, once again, on behalf of the entire organization, I wish you all a very, very happy new year. By the way, this open house, I'm not sure if everybody knows what exactly will go on in an open house. So I'll just give you a brief so that once Mr. Mani joins in, I think we are good to start. So open house is basically a platform where you can connect with the higher management level, where you can talk to them, or you can get to know about what are the things that we're planning for the organization. It is going to be like a dialogue, and it is going to be an interactive session. So we request each one of you to participate in it to make this open house a meaningful session. It is going to be conducted exactly for an hour. We'll start at 5 and we'll close it at 6 o'clock. So whenever you're given a chance to speak, I request each one of you to come out with any questions, queries, suggestions, whatever you want to talk, so that we can make this session a very interactive session. So today's agenda mainly is to discuss about the plans of the 15th year, because the date when we started Desicrew was on the 2nd of February 2007. So this is the 15th year, so that is one. And the second thing, of course, is new year, new beginnings. So since today is the first of the year, we would want our CEO, he's written a very beautiful mail. I hope you people had the time to go through it, but it would always be good to hear it from him. So the main agenda for today's open house is to hear from our CEO, the beautiful lines that he has written, the motivating lines that he has written about how we should progress through some of the examples, live examples that he has shared that mail. So Mr. Mani has joined the call. So over to you, sir.
Yeah, hi, Ravina. Happy New Year to you and Happy New Year to the entire team. Good to be here. I can see a lot of people. So now, I'm not sure what are we supposed to do, Ravina, because I'm prepared to answer questions. Of course, that's open house.
Yes, sir.
But I would obviously want people to ask questions. I just want to say a couple of things about the open house concept, so that people who were part of this earlier, who's not happened right now, can also get a glimpse of what we want to do. So am I audible to everyone? How do I know this? We are DC live, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Which means I can't hear myself.
Yes, sir.
You cannot hear yourself, yeah, but we can hear
So
you.
if you have another, if you have a phone, you can put on DC live on the phone, sir.
No, but then that will show a lot of echo and all of this.
Yeah, that will have an echo.
But anyway, but I see a lot of people joining us in the Google Meet itself.
Yeah, all DNX will join in Google Meet, sir.
Okay, but people can hear us even otherwise, right? If they are.
Yeah, otherwise people will be hearing us on the radio.
Okay, wonderful. So anyway, I'll just start with the concept of open house. I'm sure many of you would know, but for those people who are not aware, and also people who were earlier experiencing that in Desicrew, but now there is a little bit of a gap. So I just wanted to go back. See, when we were really small, when I say small, we were about, let's say, 70 people or 80 people in the entire organization. So I don't know whether any of the centers can even imagine this situation. Yeah, there was a time when I joined Desicrew, there were only 79 people or something across all 4 centers, including Chennai. That's all the strength we had. And of course, the distance was still there. Kollu was Kollu, and we had Appukolar Center at that time. So what we used to do, we used to meet in person, all of us together. So the first one meet we organized somewhere near Coimbatore, I forgot the name, where we had asked everyone to travel and spend 2 days, so that we can discuss what's happening and annual plans and so on and so forth. So I remember clearly at that time, Kollu Center, I'm sure some of the Kollu Center team might be still there here. A lot of people were very reluctant because many of them have not traveled outside their villages, and their parents were afraid that how would their children, son or daughter, they will be without them for 2 days and going to some new place, new company, and so on and so forth. So we had to go to the parents and convince them that it is safe and this only Desicrew and please give us permission and so on and so forth, to even get people out and ensure that all of us met. But that we could meet because, like I said, we were just sub 100 at that time, so all of us could meet. When we started expanding, then making everybody coming on the same day to a place was a challenge because by the time the process had expanded, we were almost 24/7 in many centers. So it is not possible for people to even leave their work and move and spend time. So then we started saying that instead of assembling everyone to one center, the leadership team, the Chennai team, and all the guys who are interested, they will start moving to centers. So every quarter, we used to go to one of the centers, where again we spent almost a day doing the reviews, interacting with people, and addressing issues which are coming both in from people, infrastructure, and so on and so forth. So every quarter, everyone of us would travel, spend the time in the center, and even others, a lot of other people got a good opportunity to visit the centers, interact with people, and so on and so forth. Then when Kapu Center came into existence, even that was becoming difficult because from Kapu to Chennai or even Kollu to Chennai, looking at the train journey, time, and all of that, we just needed almost 3 or 4 days for all of us to go and return and get back. Again, the same issue that we just couldn't afford so much of absence from the floor. So the frequency kind of got disrupted. So maybe Kapu we did have, I remember once we all traveled to Kapu, but it was not happening every quarter. Then we changed this into open house where by the time we were also having all the Skype and video conferencing and so on and so forth. So we used to have this concept that every month we used to have conference like this where there is no agenda. The audience, everyone is invited, and we can just get to know each other and ask any questions which is coming to our mind. And mostly we use that time to also introduce new people, new joiners who come into that center at that particular time. So this is how the evolution has happened, but the core idea remains the same. For me or any of the leadership members to interact with people without any formal reviews or client-related issues or HR, etc., just to get to know each other and, of course, to answer any queries which is troubling people's mind. So we wanted to revive. In fact, Vinay and I have been speaking about it for a while now, and I thought last week when we were speaking, we might as well make a new beginning with this new year. So starting this, and we have to make it as a fixed calendar, otherwise it's going to be again falling into the same trap. So the thought right now is that first of every month, we will meet, now that the COVID has enabled this medium. So we will try to do a virtual open house, again, across centers. And we're using the DC Live as the medium right now, so we can reach out to more people. And we still have to figure out how people can ask questions even without logging into the Google Meet. There are some solutions which are being worked out. I'm sure before we go to the next open house meet, that will also be in practice. So you can even dial in, or you can come to Google Meet, or you can text me, whatever, whichever way you want, reach out to the chat. The core idea is we would like to listen to your questions, and I would like to answer. And if there is something which is going to take a lot of time, which can't be covered in this forum, we will take it up offline. So that's the brief idea about the open house. So starting this month, first of every month, please block your calendar. I'm sure DC Live team will also send you adequate notice. We will meet first of every month, irrespective of which day, which whatever time it is, so that the continuity is there. And for all the newcomers, it is a good opportunity to interact with each other, and they want to talk to me. I'm more than happy to listen. So obviously, this program will not succeed if there are not enough questions. Questions, when I mean not really something which is troubling you as a person, but I would appreciate if there are questions related to the organization or clients or centers, which is not a little bit personal. In the sense, if you have any grievance of my salary was not credited on time, etc., I think there are enough opportunities and HR team to address that. But I wouldn't mind answering that as well. So there are some issues which are continuously coming to you. 2-3 months, things are not changing. So doesn't matter. Then you can definitely bring in, as long as you are able to articulate to all your colleagues, you want everyone to listen to that issue. We'll be more than happy to answer. So that's the backdrop. Otherwise, there's no restriction. You can ask anything which is in your mind, and I will try to answer as much as I can. And if there are any issues which we can't cover in the short time, we will definitely take offline to address them. So that's the thought. So I will stop here, Veena. This is what I wanted to tell people. And of course, wish everyone a great Happy New Year. And we are into 2022 now. And 2020, somebody said in the email or some message which I received that 2021 also looked the same. We were coming out of pandemic situation and then entering into another pandemic, and people are talking about lockdowns and vaccination. Vaccination, of course, was not there last time, but some things look like they've not changed much. But of course, there are a lot of positives, and some of them I've covered in my email as well. Those who had a chance to look at it, of course, you can query on that as well. But the messages, though the larger situation looks the same, that countries enter into another maybe lockdown period and more hospitalizations and general worries. But a lot of things have changed. I hope the Omicron will not be as difficult as the other variants, so that's a big positive. And as Desicrew, we also managed to meet our target of 100% vaccination, so that should be additional boost. So maybe we should now seriously take the campaign about the family members, if that is going to help us. So things are changing and a lot of things are looking positive. So I'll stop here, Veena. So now I'm open to take any questions from anybody. So it'll be nice to introduce whoever is asking the question and then put the question so that everyone can hear and my reply as well.
First of all, just wanted to know if everybody had a chance to go through the email. It was sent last night and it was a lengthy mail, so I'm not sure if everybody has read it. So in case you've read it, if you had any questions, if you want to ask something about the whole write-up, since the person who has written that email is here, it would be better to get the answers from him. Tanike, we'll start with you. Did you go through the email?
Yeah. I'm the first who replied, but I went through the email and they said I replied also. It was a good example which is articulated well, and a lot of sports which I liked it, especially the cricket match which was that was one, and one more. I didn't have any questions apart from that. It was a very nice read, Veena.
Okay.
No, that's fine, Veena. Email will not be our focus because every month I can't write email, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying anything, any center, newcomers, oldcomers, anything which is there on top of the mind, I'm more than, or even if there's no question, if they want to share a comment, about our work, about our clients, process, people, their bosses, anything.
I had a question, sir. Since this is going to be the crystal year, that is the 15th year of the organization Desicrew, how differently are we going to perceive this year? Like today is the first day of the year, so apart from the celebrations that we are going to have and things like that, how different this year would be for people in general in terms of how they can see their growth, or generally as the organization is going, what is in store for people is general question that I wanted to ask.
Yeah, see, I'm not sure whether it should be any different from the rest of the years, but certainly, yes, I think there are a couple of points which I want to share that with everyone. See, one, we are now 15 years old, so which means the rest of the ecosystem, which is our clients and people who are outside the organization, they would expect certain maturity in the organization. So any organization which has lasted for 15 years, they certainly expect certain things, right? Especially from a response point of view, or HR and compliance point of view, or any talent which they would like to see in the organization. I think these are expectations which should come to us, because in the initial days, as I mentioned earlier, it was completely our story. People outside organization really didn't care, didn't really know whether even we existed. So we could do things with the way we wanted, and it was a small team, so everyone was willing to put in their bit, and not much expectation, including some of the leadership team. There were occasions where some of us couldn't get salaries on time, some of us had to take pay cuts, and founder could not get salary for a long time. So there were a lot of other issues which a small organization would run without any support. People did not complain at that time because all of us wanted Desicrew to succeed, and that kind of took care of everything else. I mean, even today, the core team, some of us are still around. I think I can easily see about 40 to 50 people of the first batch, or people who were there when I joined. All of us are still with Desicrew. So for the entire team, there was nothing else in their mind except for Desicrew success. But now we can't expect the same thing from an organization which is now 1,000 people, and people come from different areas and different expectations. A lot of people have joined laterally. A lot of professionals who had worked in other parts of the country, they have come in. So this is one sign of organization growing. So when they bring in their own perspective, or they bring in their best practices which they have seen in their own organization, then I think it's a very good sign for the organization to grow. So one other thing which I would expect, all of us, it's not just HR's responsibility. So the 15 is a good reminder, saying that whatever we do, there is a responsibility which is coming to us because of the 15-year completion, and some of us, I said it, it's been there throughout the journey from day zero. Right? So we would have to behave in a little bit more mature manner. What I mean by that is that we have more of systems and processes and less of people dependency. So earlier, let's say there was a team lead. Right? I don't know, I think maybe the entire organization had only one TL or something like that. So it was quite alright for the rest of the team just to listen and execute what the TL said. Right? Today that can't be the case. When we can see the R&R discussion in the DNext team, I mean, we even managed to create a DNext team. That was not there in the beginning. So a lot of things are changing, but it needs to go to the next level. We need more professionals coming in, and we need them environment for them to work and succeed and contribute to the organization. So that's one change I would like to see, and that's changes happening I can see. But I would want everyone to be part of that journey. It is not what HR says or what your DM says. Everyone needs to say that we have to respond to the external stimuli, like an organization which is mature and which has got processes, which has got professionals handling their responsibilities. So that's the thing which I would like to see and expect in them.
Yes.
So, okay, anybody else want to say something, ask anything? Or it's okay, even if it's first of the month of the year, you can still raise a complaint, not an issue. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so you mentioned 1 lakh jobs in the email. So, any more, apart from our sectors, any more new centers, possibilities?
Okay, so I think, see, a good question actually. Good that somebody read the number and asked me a question. I'm very worried that somebody will ask me that question. But yeah, see, you guys know, at least HR knows very well, and all of us know instinctively, it is not easy to create the kind of jobs which we are trying to create in our system. The first is the geography, because this is our choice, right? Nobody forced us to go to Kullu and Tainpalayam and Kapu and all this. This is what Desicrew want to do. This is what we want to do. So we don't want to go and open a center in Delhi and Bombay and so on and so forth. So the talent, the people, the community which we want to work with are very much with us. So it's been a long journey. It's been a slow journey for many of us, and I wouldn't say it's a very successful journey either. But yes, compared to what has been achieved in the rest of the country, it is still something worth celebrating. And the reason why I put a number like 100,000 is essentially to stimulate our thoughts and motivate ourselves to look at the growth. So it is not like revenue growth for organizations. So every organization would like to grow. If you look at our clients, they're all growing. Right? HDFC, Zomato, Swiggy, any client, obviously anybody will want to show growth in terms of new customers, revenues, people, etc. But Desicrew is going to be slightly different, because every job which we create, every center we create, it's going to immediately impact the communities and the people in a manner which is not being done by other organizations. So, for example, Infosys, Reliance, Tata's, or even railways, all of them have already created 100,000 jobs plus. So 100,000 number is not a big thing. And for a country like India, that's nothing, right? But at the same time, if you look at our people, where they come from, their background, their economic background, their opportunities which are available to them, and if Desicrew can serve as a first step in their career, because we work with mostly freshers, right? And I keep saying, I know that some of you heard it earlier, I don't want anyone to retire in Desicrew, right? Nobody should look at those kind of thoughts at this point in time. We will always be young because of the age profile of people we are going to work with. I might be the oldest guy in the organization. There are a couple of people who are older, but that's not what they don't represent the organization. The crewmates are the ones who will run this organization, and they need to look at how to use Desicrew to improve their career. So that's the core thought. That's why the difference is. I don't think railways can make the statement, nor even Infosys can make the statement that we want to make the life improvement for our own people, right? So that's the difference for Desicrew. So the reason 100,000 is mentioned because after we started, when we were struggling in the early days, no power, internet was very bad, and people couldn't travel. A lot of people didn't know English to talk to clients, and so on and so forth. There are multiple challenges. Many of the challenges we are still facing when we are looking at people for new processes. Of course, right now the skill set and the demand of customers have changed, right? But the process still remains the same. How do we essentially solve the problem of skilling and ensure that the work discipline is given and to create a value for our customers? Now, government has recognized this. I don't know how many of you are aware. There is a scheme called India BPO scheme. Now, central government has announced a scheme a couple of years back saying that anyone who wants to create centers like Desicrew in remote area, government is willing to support them. Now, we thought that that would be a good idea, and a lot of Desicrew centers will come up in everywhere across the country. But unfortunately, that still remains a dream. While the government has committed a lot of money, they have disbursed a lot of money, a lot of people have come forward to set up things. But we all know centers are not setting up computers and internet. It is always about people, training them and delivering to the client's expectations, and more importantly, creating something new for the customers. Now, that's not an easy job. Desicrew is one of the few people in the organization who the entire country who have managed to do this. So that way, all of us should be proud of what we've done in the last 10 years, right? So the aspiration now, Taniga, is that whether we will grow to 100,000 people is a big question, because we are 1,000 right now, and this means we have to grow 100 times. Now, I wish I would like to see a scenario where Desicrew has got 100,000 people, which means so many centers across the country and so on and so forth. But for me, right now, it's an aspirational statement. Yes, there are opportunities which are in the market and which we can capitalize. And one thing which we wanted to do is to go to multiple states. So today we have people from multiple states working for us. We discovered that during our COVID time, right? I'm told about 13 different states are represented in Desicrew, which is a massive thing from the initial days when there are only 5 or 6 people in the entire organization. So yes, there are pointers, and if we get our skilling model right, that's what I mentioned in my note as well. If we can get that model right in terms of converting people into their employable potential, there is nothing which will stop us from going into that number. Yes, as an action point, we would like to create more centers, go into new states, and whether we reach 100,000 on our own, or somebody else takes this route, or collaborates with us, or government takes some of our models to replicate, the path can be multifold. We don't know, I can't predict it at that time. We've been interacting with multiple governments, including the Karnataka government, Tamil Nadu government, and central government. And there are schemes which have come, but yet to see, the proof is always looking at 100,000 jobs with PF, ESI, and all the benefits in the payroll. So that still remains a dream, and we would like to see if we can dedicate ourselves on the 15th year completion to make sure that the journey is undertaken by all of us. And how will that happen? How will this team, our current team, contribute to that? It's very simple. The 1,000 followed the first 100. Whatever the 100 guys did, battling the constraints and training themselves, learning from the clients, learning from their bosses, and delivering. And for example, when we started, we didn't have 3 shifts, but we now have 3 shifts. When we started, we didn't have the D-Next, I said, now we have D-Next. So whatever we do lays the foundation for the big numbers. I'm sure at that time when we were 100, we used to dream of this 1,000. I remember some of these annual meet and plans, we used to even write the goals saying that it will become 1,000 and so on and so forth. But it's never easy. But every day, every client, every process we deliver forms the foundation for the next 1,000, and so on and so forth. Yeah, to that extent, what we do now matters. It may not give you a direct client process to give you 100,000 jobs, but what we do, how we conduct ourselves, how we treat our people, how people benefit from our organization, how much career benefit they can be with us, associated with us, and what they do when they leave Desicrew, all that matters. So one of the things which are not really tracked is what people do after they're leaving Desicrew. So when someone leaves Desicrew, they're obviously upset, right? So that is fine. I think organization would not love to leave people. But it is also important for us to track what they're doing. If somebody is sitting at home, then I'll be very upset. But if they're getting a better job and moving out of their place, that's not as bad. And if somebody wants to contribute back because they've got a new place and they learned new skills and they want to come back or they want to participate in some way to pass on some of the skills to Desicrew, that would be wonderful. So this again depends on how we treat each other, what kind of environment we give for people, all of that. So 100,000 is an aspirational number. I don't have any magic wand to make it happen. But yes, what we do would lead us to there.
Sure, sir. Yes, sir. Noted, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone ready with the next one?
Yeah, any questions? We have one.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Arun from TN.
Yes, sir.
First of all, Happy New Year.
Yeah.
And to all. Sir, I have a question to you. Last year, yes, we had a lot of troubles. The whole economy faced issues and we had to overcome it. I just would like to know, like, what is your expectation from us for the this year, as from the frontliners to ourselves for the country?
See, for us, like I've been saying, Arun, see, we've been talking about Desicrew, how we grew and what are the challenges we faced, etc. But now the question is, how are we relevant to the rest of the world? Otherwise, we don't have a reason to exist, right? We can feel happy about, okay, number of jobs created and people are getting benefits and so on and so forth. But that's not how the world will work. So if we are not relevant, if we are not making ourselves relevant to the rest of the organization, rest of the world, then obviously our growth will get limited. And that's true for even as professionals, whether you are a Linux leader or a junior crewmate or somebody who's joined today or been in the system for 10 years, 12 years, doesn't matter. The thing is, we are in the service industry. See, the service industry definition also, I know some of you already heard. I heard it from Anup. He is very clear. He defines the service as going beyond the call of duty. So which means, if I am a junior crewmate, my boss has asked me to do whatever, 5 menus a day or 4.5 menus a day. If I am able to do not just 4 menus, but I'm able to do something beyond that, not just in terms of production, not 4 becoming 5 or 6, that's one way, right? But there are multiple ways in which you can contribute. You can train your fellow crewmate, for example, or you can help your boss with your QC, or you can sort out some HR issues which are there, or you can solve some of the tech issues. So whatever it is, if you are able to define yourself in such a way that I want to make my presence felt by the team, by my boss, by my colleagues, by my client, I think that is the only way we can make ourselves successful. So if you ask me, what should we do, what should I do, what should Arun do, is basically look at your immediate stakeholders. See, when I say 1,000 people, we don't interact with 1,000 people every day, right? We may interact with maybe 10 to 20 roughly. Or even if you include all your team members and everything, maybe the numbers can go up. But if you look at your key stakeholders, they can come from different functions. Could be HR, could be ops, could be your boss, could be your DTech team, could be your customers. So all these touch points, if you make yourself relevant to their life, which means you are contributing to make their life better. So if you are talking to a client, by your work, you are making the client look good in front of their bosses. So then they will not forget you and they will always need you. And they will look for you when you are not around or when you want to be given more responsibility. So there is no fixed formula on this, but the one-line mandate can be how do you make yourself relevant or just not relevant, how can you contribute more than what is expected out of it. If each one of us can think on those lines and start shaping our actions, that's good enough. We don't need anything else. And then, like I said, we have good numbers to substantiate that everything you do is going to get multiplied 1,000 times. So the example what you set is going to be followed by your team. And whatever the team is doing, center might follow. And whatever the center is doing, the rest of the organization can follow. The vaccination campaign is an excellent example of this. I'm sure all of you will remember when we started this, nobody was sure. Yeah, even I was not sure how it will shape out. But it started very small. There were some people who were so much enthusiastic. There are people who were pushing the team, pushing people. I remember early days, Mohinder and everybody used to talk about it in the center. Then it slowly gained momentum. Then people start taking responsibility, themselves, the team, then the family members. Then we started announcing prizes. So if you see, and it's all happened what? If you look back, it was what? August, July or August, I don't remember. So it's 6 months. So 6 months we could go from 0 to 100% and full vaccination with all the constraints, right? So many things, whether it's data, whether it is supply of medicines, whether it is worry about the allergies and medical conditions and pressure, somebody saying I don't want to do it, all of that. So we could overcome, and the momentum which we generated has taken us this fast. So it is the same formula we need to apply. So any problem, and I'm very glad that in 6 months we're able to start from 0 to 100. So I can't see why we can't solve some problem if we take this much effort. Now forget 6 months, even in 2 to 3 months we should be able to change things and get going. So that's my request to everyone because of Arun's question. What should we do to do better? Just very simple. Just ask your question. How am I relevant to my immediate stakeholders? How can I be of more use? If we ask the honest question and give an honest answer to that, I think everything will be taken care, including asking for things, including demanding the organization. See, not that I'm asking everyone to do and then we're just sitting there and asking to do. No. When I say when you have to do better, it includes asking for things which you want, whether it is support, whether it is people, whether it is new skill, whether it's opportunities. So you just need to be ensuring that you grow in your own career, then rest of the thing will automatically fall in place. Don't go by the current thing or our appraisal system, which is like once a year and all of that. But those are important in anybody's career. Obviously, these are important things. But you don't have to wait for 1 year to do this. And like I said, if you could do the vaccination in 6 months, a lot more can be achieved in half the time. And it will show up. It will show up in your numbers and people will take notice. And then it will be good for the organization as well. I don't know whether I answered that, Arun, but that's how I feel.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir. We understood. I think I got an overall view of what is the expectation. So, thank you, sir.
Thanks for the question, Arun. Okay, who's next?
Yeah, hi, morning. Good evening. Mohinder here.
Yes, Mohinder, happy New Year.
Yeah, happy New Year to everybody. So, from the bit of experience that the questions that shot up during the work from home model, so a lot of people we hire from different organizations, right, for specific skill sets. So what happens is when they come and join our organization, they somewhat feel that there is no deadline or any deadline for a certain, let's say, for example, they join, then they expect an orientation, or when they exit, they expect an experience letter to come to them in a certain time. So they compare the previous company where they worked, and they expect the same here. Maybe our approach and our model is different, but it's very difficult for me to convince them saying, no, wait, this will happen for you here as well, but just give us some time. Right. So this is shooting up, in this model, especially while we were in office, they didn't come up because most of them are from the local place. So they didn't have this exposure to the outside world. So they were happy with our model. But then now when we are hiring people from different parts of India, working from different culture and coming from with the work experience, they expect a certain more, acknowledgement and a professionalism from every department, not just operations or all the department. They expect that thing. And we try to especially, I'll just give you an example. Let's say they join and they are an employee of organization and they ask a payslip.
may I view my payslip? So then we have to wait for them, tell them there are certain rules, okay, your HR will contact you, you will get it very soon. So they want to know how my payslip is, how my pay is, split. What is tax I'm paying? So these are the things that, which I got it personally. Because especially because I am the recruiter, end of the day I'm the manager, so obviously the questions are shot to me directly. And then I route it to different people, saying, okay, you contact this person, okay, you contact this person, you'll get the answer. But end of the first question is shot to me, especially in these circumstances. So if you can fix somewhere here, so then I think, with this 15 years of our existence, I think we should, go way beyond this and be one of the best in terms of this as well. Because from what I've seen, I think what we've done is extremely we should be proud of, especially working in the rural part of India and upskilling them and bringing lives to so many people in India. So I think we can do this and do this in the same way. I think that will help us our organization much better.
Wonderful thought, Makinda. Thanks for bringing this up. I think this is what we've been. If you hear what I'm telling the HR team in the reviews, so you're just reflecting what I've been saying. And yes, I think absolutely sure. See, there are 2 points here. One is you said about the work from home model getting us people from outside and people who have been exposed to the rest of the organization and so on and so forth. So definitely, even without the work from home model, if you observe last 3-4 years, we are slowly getting people with experience and lateral recruitment and so on and so forth, even the TL level, DM level, all these guys, right? So, one, as an organization, are we ready to manage this in a very professional manner? The honest answer right now is not yet. We are on the path, but I don't think today we are completely doing that in a perfect manner. So we are improving. Whether the intent is there or not, yes, the intent is there. Then why is the gap which existing? That's primarily because 2 reasons. See, one, if you look at our Desicrew team, even before the COVID happened, many of us are not used to asking questions. Like you can see that even in an open house, people are very reluctant to say something. So we are, in general, what I've observed is they're not following the processes. For example, you talked about somebody not getting a letter or something is getting delayed and so on and so forth. We just don't have a formal way of working to address these issues. So either it will get addressed by, let's say you as a manager talking to Veena, sending a mail, and after 3 mails talking to Veena again, Veena will say we'll solve it, and then matter ends there. We don't have a systemic way of whether it is Veena or Mohinder. If somebody is coming into the system and today is day 17, nothing has happened. So the system should have reacted and created certain triggers to act on this. Now that is what we are trying to work today. So it is not going to be dependent on individuals whether they raise the issue or not. Certain things have to happen at certain time, and if the questions are not raised, but still we have to work as an organization. So there's a lot of back-end work which needs to be happening there, to ensure that the experience to the newcomer or the outsider is seamless and as professional as it can be. So the intent is there, but we need to work a lot. The second aspect is there are also a lot of responsibilities for us, as in people in the leadership team and people like you, DNX team. We have to put more demands on the system, right? I think this is not about complaint. It's not that when you say something, it's not a complaint against Tanibai or somebody, right? We should not view that way. But we have to have a system. What I mean by system is, suppose today you write a mail to, let's say, I'm just giving an example, if you correct me if thing is not right. Suppose you want something, you're writing to Prabhakar, or you're calling up Prabhakar and say, we want this to be done, etc. So you can wait for maybe a couple of days, 3 days, which you think is a reasonable time to get that solved. If it's not happening, then we should have a trigger to go into Veena. If it's not happening in a certain time, after reasonable discussion, then the trigger should automatically come to me. I still haven't gotten any escalation mail from anybody in the entire organization. How do we then resolve? Either when it gets precipitated, the crewmate is very upset, either he or she wants to leave or is complaining somewhere, then we'll suddenly jump into action and then we'll do a crisis management. That is one way we normally solve the problem. Or we'll keep talking to each other. Like you said, after sending the mail, after 25 days, after 45 days also, you might still call Veena and say, Veena, this is still pending for 45 days, can you do something? Now, those kind of things I think we need to slowly orient towards a systemic thing. And it's not that it's an impossible thing to do. See, you guys now have the IT help desk, right? We are raising tickets.
Yes. Yeah. We are doing that. Yeah.
When the tickets are raised, one, it's documented, date, time, stamp, everything is there. And when Thiru looks at it, there's a dashboard which says how many tickets are pending. And I'm very happy to say that I had some problem in my own email box. It's still some confusion, mostly from my side. I think I'm not able to solve it out. But I registered a ticket and people responded. They came back and then I said something back to them and I again took control of my remote. They're trying to solve. So I can at least see that progress happening. So now this is what is missing. If a newcomer has come and he or she is waiting for a letter, we are not able to replicate this kind of interactive experience for them. So anybody will be able to be patient with the organization as long as they are convinced that there is a team which is working to solve my problem or an individual working to solve my problem. They will also know why are they silent, then they will understand. Suppose you have somebody in your team, they will see that Mohinder is trying to do something. Then they will say, boss, Mohinder himself is trying this, nothing is happening, so what is the point of me raising it? So this is probably, this is my guess, I could be wrong. Maybe this is another reason why people don't want to raise any issues. So for me, we have to encourage tickets being raised. This will automatically be recorded and someone will review. I would like to see how many resolution we used to do, and then things will start happening. Right now what's happening, it's not that we're not doing anything. I know HR is telling me there is a HR help desk, there's a grievance desk and all of that. But we need to design it in such a way that it's not be a complex process for people to reach out. So if you say, for example, only Thursday you can call me, then it's going to be very complex for people to even remember and they will think that's a burden for people to even remember. That's not acceptable in today's age where everything is happening in minutes and seconds. So one way to do is we need to raise as many issues as possible. Only then we can progress ourselves. Otherwise, what is going to say? You will think that Veena has received so many other activities, that's why she's not able to pay attention to this issue. Might be true, may not be true, we don't know. So we cannot work on assumptions. So your point is very, very valid, and we are on paths to that. Now, if you ask me whether it will take 2 days, 3 months, 6 weeks, I am not able to give you a time. I'll give you a very simple example. We used to have these letters, right? People without letters. I have sat with the HR team for maybe 2 or 3 times till now to see that, okay, can we give a deadline saying that by this date, we will clear all the backlog and create all the letters and issue them, right? Now, by the time we action that, maybe another 50 people have come, 20 people have gone, some interns are not happy or they're not fitting into the organization, they've gone. So then they run around solving that problem. And then in the process, the letters are put in the back burner. And sometimes we issue letters, but the crewmate is not even aware because we just don't have that habit of getting, let's say, an acceptance letter and things like that at the entry level. So they also don't know that the letters are being there in the mailbox and things like that. So there are a lot of education involved at the entry level. But I take your point, irrespective of the constraints which we may have. Now we also expanded the HR team. So now I can't say, HR team cannot say that we don't have people. I think we've been speaking to all the team members, whether it's Sidrani, Prabhakar and everybody. So there are enough support is available and I'm willing to support even more so that the experience of the people who are joining us is the best. In fact, we will recollect this, I keep saying this again and again to her. The first 10 days and the last 10 days of an employee in the organization is the most important one. Because the first 10 days they are forming impressions about us. They might have heard a lot of things about Desicrew, they might have thought about this, like you said, they've heard good things about Desicrew outside, but when they come into the system, somehow what they're experiencing is not what they heard or what they expected. So those 10 days, they form opinion about the process, about the organization, about everything. So therefore, it's important for us to treat them well, ensure that their needs are taken care, we address their issues, and point out where to get solutions, etc. Similarly, when people want to leave, it's not a crime. People leave for multiple reasons, and if they are going for their career aspirations, we should wish them well. And there's no need to abscond. A lot of people abscond without telling us. And we sometimes have problems with some individuals, and we have some discipline issues, we have performance issues. So this is very common for any organization, right? But that doesn't mean that exit has to be a fight between organization and individual. Okay, you may not be the best of the friends, but still, because whenever you leave the organization and go to the other organization, the last memories will be your last 10 days. Not how well you did 1 year back when you got promoted and retrack and all things. It might be a good remembrance for you at that time. When you leave the organization, you are probably not going to remember the last 10 days how you were treated. So that's one of the things which we have to work on. But the short answer to you is, Mohinder, we are working towards it. HR team is expanding and trying to do this. But I would request all of you guys to put more demand onto the system. Nothing personal. We are not raising complaint against individuals here. But our end game remains the same. How do we ensure that somebody joins, let's say, February 12th to the organization, has an excellent atmosphere, professional atmosphere, getting answers quickly and resolutions for whatever the issues they might have. That's the aim, but we need to make it happen. So I would expect HR team to be hyperactive in the new year. Thanks, Mohinder. Okay, anybody else? I hope we have answered that question. Mohinder, if you want to comment anything more, I'm more than happy to listen.
No, I think, yeah, that's sufficient. No, I have no complaints because generally I will convince anybody with any complaint I tell them, okay, it will be sorted out. So nobody will be disappointed. It's just that it takes some time, that's it.
No, that's the point I'm saying. See, you should not be, one-on-one, everybody get convinced. Like if you put me in front of a junior criminal who doesn't have a letter, I can also convince them, right? But that's not the point. The organization should convince, not individuals.
Yeah, that's all.
Right time, because we want the employee to give the benefit of doubt to us. But I don't think that should be the standard. We have to delight them. The first 10 days, people should feel like kings.
Sure, we will do that.
Okay, can we move on?
Sir, I think people can open up with Tamil also. If they want to ask a question in Tamil also, they can ask the question in Tamil.
Okay,
Tamil, Kannada also. Tamil, Gujarati.
Yeah.
Ashwin sir, Happy New Year, Ashwin sir.
Tamil,
yeah, happy to
Kannada, Hindi, Malayalam, you can ask questions, but you may not get answers. But yes, some of the languages we should be able to I think people can help us to answer. So language is not a barrier. That's another good point you guys have raised. I know whether Prashant is in the call. So definitely this year we're going to expand our footprints to multiple languages. The goal is to reach 22 languages as quickly as possible, which means the way we communicate, especially I communicate, is going to be very, very difficult. I have no idea about any language other than Tamil. So it's going to be challenging for all of us, but it will be a welcome change. It will also give us the perspective about the rest of the country, and we will learn a lot about the language, culture, people. So by business, we are going to get more people with multiple language skills into the system. So we should all be prepared. So when start now, anybody can use any language they're comfortable with.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Who's next?
Sir, Vijay here.
Yeah, Vijay. Happy New Year to you.
Hi, happy New Year to everyone, and sir, you too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Sir, additional to Mohinder's point, so is this the ticketing system is applicable for D-Lancers?
Yes. See, for us, there's no difference. Vijay. See, freelancer or intern or apprentice or payroll or all things, these are different stages of one's evolution. From a crewmate point of view, because end of the day, individuals, right? They are professionals. They are contributing to us something, and we are giving them something in return. It could take different form depending on the engagement, what we want and what they want. But they are interacting with us as a professional organization. By even I would extend this to even some of our vendors who are working with us in some projects. Okay, we may not treat them as crewmates because they represent only one person and they might have about 15 people with them. But as individuals, whatever response time and resolution which we are promising to anybody, I don't see anything which should be different for our freelancer.
Sure, sir. So thanks for the clarification. So currently, I would like to ask for HR. So I think this will be applicable for that payroll employees. So if this would be like given to the freelancer, because these people are the first and foremost thing which they are getting to the organization, because we are taking as a freelancers, not as an intern. Okay. And
in today's one quick point is today's freelancer could be your payroll employee tomorrow. So why suddenly you treat differently, then that won't happen, right? The experience, like I said, the first 10 days remains the same. Whatever maybe I am, I can be CEO, I can be intern, doesn't matter. If you treat me well, I will work with you.
Definitely,
if you trade double for me, then I won't respond the same way. So that's the principle. While in the rolling out, they might say first phase will cover payroll and this and that. I don't know. I give it to HR for that. But in principle, there shouldn't be any difference for any of the categories of people.
Okay, so why I asked this question was because the first 10 days could be very, very important, as well as you said the last 10 days also is very important, right? So the people who are getting to the organization is the first and foremost thing is freelancers, not with the intern category. So whoever it may be, that will be very important to us. So when the people are getting to the organization. So thanks for the clarification, sir. And the second question is, so yes, I know we are 15 years now, and we are getting moved across to different projects over, and we are getting a new set of people. So there are a lot of constraints with respect to the people when they knew about something about Desicrew when they log in. When they come back to the Desicrew, they hesitate to log in, and they hesitate to come and work with us with Desicrew. So the most of the reasons, because I recruited last month, because I had a very personal experience with the people from the north side, especially when we are recruiting for the freelancers or whoever it may be. We may have different kind of projects which is going on, but especially if you say that Hindi is a major thing where we can recruit the people. Hindi we need, and we need Hindi plus English, sorry. So if I go and check with the people are already saying that, so I'm getting this, why are you asking for this? This is a 5-day salary for me, why you are asking me for this kind of work? So people are already getting work from their hands, and we are going for the part-time jobs or the freelancer job. The hesitant level is very high comparatively what we do with us. So what kind of level, like what we can do for these kind of people, how we can get into this organization, so what we can do much better comparatively. So this is my second question.
So the first, I don't know whether I understood the question correctly, but let me just make a couple of points. See, one, language will never be a barrier for professional work, right? We might have some challenges depending on the interaction, but I can just give you a quick example from our own past. I don't know how many of you guys are even aware. I was not there at that time when it happened. This happened in the very early days, I think maybe first year or second year of the organization. We had to implement a project in Rajasthan. And we had to get about 1,000 plus people getting into the data about self-help group and things like that. And just imagine who were there in Chennai office at that time. There was only one office in Chennai office, and it was Saloni, Thiru, Ashwan, Vidya, and all these people. Except for Saloni, I don't think anybody had any knowledge about the language, right? But we had to land in a place where we didn't know the language. We had to set up an office. We had to hire people. We had to pay them. We had to ensure that performance. All that happened because we talked about the letters and issues and letters. But in those kind of project environment, So you can imagine how we've done that many times now, as recent as your Mahasa experience, right? So one thing very clearly it has happened is language is never a barrier for doing excellent professional work. That's point number one. Point number two, extension of what we are saying. The clarity of the engagement has to be there from that first moment, because many times that's what I have observed. See, when we hire people, we tell them something because they also want to expect something, and then we say, okay, come in. So we have had the situation many times before. People coming and telling us, no, when I joined the organization, somebody told me that I'll be getting 13K, 14K, and things like that. So this communication gap, or what we communicate and what they understand, or the difference between simple take home and your salary. So there are multiple points which exist when new people come into the system. And now it's a little bit more complex, because when I say deal answer, it's not necessarily only at the entry level. Because of the skill sets which we are talking about, today you might have a deal answer in all levels. Can be a TL, can be DM, can be anything, because of the projects and the skill sets. So for us, the clarity of communication when they come, and even if they don't issue a formal letter on day one, the communication between the individual and the organization, it could be a TL, it may not be HR all the time, right? When you are recruiting and somebody has to log in tomorrow morning, there's not even enough time for us to do an induction and so on and so forth. But definitely, if we maintain the sanctity of the communication, half the problems will be solved. And the third point is, even if we were to do something in urgent, because there's a pressure, client is asking, Thiru is asking, and so on and so forth. But it is always important for us to clear the backlogs. I think that is where I see a big drawback in Desicrew's way of working, because we just don't have a way to track and things like that. So somebody joining on Monday or Tuesday, it should be possible for us to take it on a weekend, Friday, Saturday, to address all the issues. Maybe we have to work on such systems to ensure that Monday we are clean and then we are starting from zero. So this cycle can be shortened, or I can say as a week, so that we can conveniently do it. There's no time pressure. But what happens is that 3 days become 1 week becomes month, and several months. And there are so many cases which you guys know very well. We are making a conscious effort, but I still don't see that pace the way it should be. And I believe the Phoenix team has a lot of role to play. We are also trying to redesign the systems where you guys can take decisions and get it implemented. So that's a process. I've been working with Thiru and Prashant and everybody. We are trying to get the culture going on where you don't have to really wait for an individual all the time. You guys are capable of, at least I think that we have the maturity to handle decisions, as long as we are able to have a system. Because accountability is important. If I'm going to take a decision, I should know, the organization should know why I'm taking the decision. And if that is clearly documented, I don't see any reason why Navinder will be taking a better decision than Vijay or Mani or anything. So we have to move away from the individual driven to a system driven. But it's a very slow process. What I've been seeing in Desicrew, it's been very, very slow, but it's there. We will definitely get there. That's how we grew. Otherwise, we wouldn't have grown at all.
Definitely, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Vijay. Okay, who else is going to take an offer for the language question? So, Veena, if there are not enough questions, then I will not come for the next month webinars.
Sir, Arun here.
Yeah.
What's your New Year resolution, sir?
My New Year resolution.
Yes, sir.
See, all the New Year resolutions, whatever we make, gets broken within a matter of days. So I will stop looking at the resolution thing. But of course, every time I will think that I will do this better and so on and so forth. This year I haven't really thought about. Yeah, I've actually got one thing for me for the work. I wanted to work with an agency to promote promote our Desicrew in a much better way in the social media, not as an individual or a thing. I still believe that there are a lot of good stories in Desicrew which we have not been able to capture and communicate with the rest of the world. And nobody is able to do that because we all are busy in our own lives. So that's one thing which is there in my new agenda item for the year. So let's see how much it can succeed. And I hope it doesn't go into the way of usual resolutions.
I hope so.
Just a suggestion to that. Just a suggestion, Mani sir. This is just a suggestion.
Yeah, sure. Happy New Year. Have you guys got the New Year or not? Still December 31st.
No, sir. I mean, I think the entire world is now into the new year, and 4 years past the midnight. Yeah. Yes. So just what you said about the social media thing. I think DTouch has a team of folks who are actually doing some work on social media and learning. If you are interested, if you think that would be worth it, probably you can get some people from there, and obviously an external agency or a team will definitely help. But it would also make good some of the work that these guys are doing at DTouch, the social media, the digital marketing team at the DTouch.
That's a good point, valid point. I've not even thought about that. I will definitely spend time with the team which is learning, and maybe it's a good experience for them also to do something live. I'll take it up.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay, who else?
Yes, actually, during the beginning of the call, before you actually joined the open house, we had said that we are just going to restrict it for 1 hour. So, part of the resolution as an organization we will take is to stick to the timelines.
Yes.
So, we have actually passed 5 minutes. So, I think if we don't have any questions, probably we can end the session. And since this is the first open house, I'm sure people are not prepared with questions also. The next month, I'm sure there will be many more questions. And it's not just the DTech leaders, we want others also to come up with questions. And we can have a quick introduction session of people who have just joined the organization, somebody who would want to come and introduce themselves voluntarily. So I think we are going to have that also from the next open house onwards.
Okay, so we'll take one last question.
Yeah, one last question, yeah.
Anyway, sir, one point we have 710 listeners.
Sorry?
710 listeners, sir.
See, this is another challenge. 700 people are listening, but nobody wants to ask any question to me. I'm very surprised. There's something wrong with that. Maybe I should change the language or whatever. I don't know what we need to change. But it's good to know that so many people are listening to us, that puts us in the right perspective. But I'd really love to answer questions and listen to people, because that's something which is missing in our current way of working. So unless people come forward, it's very difficult for me to replicate. But let's hope somebody who's listening can also join from next openers onwards. That's what we want you to do. So there's a way for them to ask questions, probably they'll ask. So we need to figure that out. But anybody else, the people who already joined, any newcomers? Because I'm sure it must have sounded very strange to hear some of these things which I said. So anybody who joined recently, last 2-3 months, anybody wants to ask any question or comment? Hello?
No.
Somebody saying no.
Tanya is saying no.
Oh, no, I'm saying I can see about 40 people. Don't we have anybody who's joined recently in this team who joined? I mean, they won't know each other, I'm sure, but at least last 3 months or last 6 months, if somebody has joined recently, I'll be very happy to listen to them.
Veena, pull a name. Tanya, pull a name.
Yeah, no, that's not the.
No. The newcomer won't know that they are the most recent. So if they know who's the recent person who's online, just ask them to speak up.
Your name.
So I know a person name is from DC Live team. I'm not sure that whether he'll have a question or like, sir. So hi Vicky. Vicky, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. Good evening, Vicky. Happy New Year.
Everyone.
Yeah. So you have any question, Mukesh, to ask Mani sir?
Hi, sir.
Yeah, hi.
So he is
Happy
an
New Year.
RJ team, sir.
Yes, sir. This is like it.
How can RJ not have question?
Sir?
No, go ahead, Vicky. Where are you from? And
I'm from Ramanathapuram.
Ramnath.
Yeah, Raman.
Oh, very good. And where in Ramnath?
Ramanathapuram, yeah. That's in hometown, as in district. Ramanathapuram.
You are from Ramnath town itself or somewhere close by?
No, sir, main area.
Okay, good. Very good. So, anything which you want to share? When did you join us?
Last 2 months.
2 months. That's a long
Yeah.
enough time. Okay, so let's start with the question which Mohit has been asking. Have you got any letter?
No, sir.
See? So, I ask this question. That is a question waiting to answer. This is an easy question, right?
So, sir, I'm very happy to meet you.
No, we are not happy to have you here without a letter. So, have you worked elsewhere, Vicky? Is that your first job?
No, sir. I worked on before that. My related work time and completed mechanical in DE.
How long did you work there?
6 months.
Okay, 6 months. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what is your expectation? So, why did you join Desicrew? What do you want to do?
This is like an work from home, so it was very comfortable to me and easy to adapt.
Hmm. So, what happens tomorrow? Government says no more work from home and everybody has to come to the center. Then what do you do?
I enjoy the work.
Sorry?
I am enjoying the work and it was very comfortable to me.
No, Vicky. What I'm saying is, today you are at home.
Okay.
I'm saying it's easy to adapt.
Yes.
Tomorrow, if the government says that work from home is banned, everyone should come to the office and work.
Okay.
What will you do?
I am ready to work as an office.
Which center will you go to?
I am going for Chennai because I am studying in Chennai. Because in particular I know all the place, so I try to do in Chennai.
Okay, so you will come to Chennai office.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Not bad. Okay. Good. So, anything else you want to share with us? Because you're seeing people from all centers in this call.
Yeah, I learn something new every day because I learn something new and every day for many people. So it was very easily to understand my my attitude and knowledgeable was improved by this. So I like this.
Sure. Good to know that. Vicky. That's nice. I hope you can learn more and contribute more in the coming days. And please do get your letter. You have to ask for the letter.
What?
You have to get your letter, I said.
Okay, sir.
Thanks, Vicky.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, we have a question in WhatsApp, sir.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
one question. It's from Tolu Team Supriya. She's asking her how to manage work and life balance successfully.
Hey, boss, too big a question, and certainly I am not the right guy to answer such profound philosophical question. And I don't think I have a balance between work life and all of that. So I can't figure out the difference between the two. So for those people who are successfully managing this, you should probably ask them. If you ask me, I don't see where the work ends and where the life begins and vice versa. So I am certainly not the right guy to answer this question. So you should ask my family members this question. But if anybody else who wants to attempt that answer, I'm more than happy to listen. I want also know what is this work-life balance.
Sir, I think Sri Lanka will be able to answer this, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I don't know how to answer this question, but for last few months I could see that my family is appreciating when I'm balancing both the things, sir. So maybe like I'm fulfilling their needs whenever they need me. So I make sure that before they come to me, I concentrate on everybody, what I do even at my DC Life team or the detached team. I make sure that I understand them before I attend to that. So that is the reason of my success, I believe, sir. So I think if we understand, if we come to know what they want, if we are in that position to do that, or if we are in the correct position to guide them, or to do things, I think we can successful in both work and life, I believe.
But if your boss is calling you at 8 o'clock in the night for work which is pending, how do you
Yes,
manage?
sir. Until I'm not disturbing my family, if they are not getting disturbed or something, still now I'm working up to 10 o'clock, everyone knows that, so they know that this is my lifestyle. And I make sure that 8:30 the dinners are ready and they're ready to go and have everything. So I'm balancing it both, sir. So I think that is successful for me.
Okay, I hope Supriya gets that answer and practices it well.
So I think it's only understanding, sir. I think understanding and conveying will make sure for success, I believe. Shweta, thank you for putting the question.
No, Sri Lanka, I always have this question for you. So good that Supriya has asked it.
Thank you, Shweta. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, Happy New Year, Shweta.
Thank you, sir. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Shweta.
Okay, Veena, can we wind up?
Yes, sir, sure, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I think it was the first open house of the year. However, we got few questions from the leadership team, but there was still a lot of hesitancy from others. I'm sure there were a lot of questions, but everybody was silent because they didn't want to be the first one to ask questions, or they might have thought that it may not be relevant in this forum. So keep that inhibitions away and make sure that next time you have some questions, because the date and time is going to be fixed every month. It is going to be the first of every month at 5 p.m. So make sure you have your questions, whatever you think during this month, you keep that pen down somewhere so that on the first of the month when CEO and the others are here, you can ask that question. However, I think for the first open house, this was a good attempt and there were a few questions at least. So thank you everybody for your active participation, and once again wish you all a very happy new year. And thanks for making time for this event. We'll see you all next month on the 1st at 5 p.m.
Thanks, Veena. I think it's good to be with the people. Maybe you should tell them that you don't have to ask money question with each other. What's the thing I find it very useful. People can shoot out the question, or if they can call up using our DC Live, even that is fine. You can make the process of asking questions a little bit more easier and simpler. Maybe you'll get more questions. Okay. Sure, thank you very much. Thank you all for your time, and wish you you and your family members enjoy the rest of the year.
Hey, 1 second, sir. Whoever's on, can you come on a video? We can just take a screenshot of the first picture. It's possible.
Yeah, sure.
Make a request. Can people
Please
switch
come
on
on
the
the
video?
yeah.
No, whoever's willing to, yeah.
You can.
And Veena, Tanesh, and somebody take a picture. Yeah.
I can see Parthiv and Lakshmanan. Hi. Oh, you can't do it together.
Hello.
Yes. Hi, Rakesh. Hi, Rakesh. Happy New Year. Hey, this is better. I can see them faces. Arun, yes. Somebody's put Tamil songs, so that's DC Live. Okay.
Veena, can you take the picture? If you have adequate people.
Put on your cameras, please, for a picture. People can use it, and it would be nice to say hi to each other. Just for 10 seconds, not more than that.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm actually traveling.
Oops.
Traveling in the sense I'm just going to the temple and I'm in the car now.
Okay. Whatever comes out is good enough. Hi, Mohita.
So Shweta, please do pray for all of us. I don't think we've gone to temple today, so
Come on.
Yeah, definitely. Sure.
Yes, it's done. Yeah, yeah, sure.
Okay, okay. Thank you, everybody.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all. Bye.
Yeah, sure. See you.
See you.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.